Oh, what a feeling using curved swords. Hello everyone, hope you're all having a wonderful day. And today guys, we're going to be going over a pretty disgusting curved sword build that just puts Elden Ring on friggin' easy mode. I know I say this a lot, but seriously, these curved swords are truly something else. Now I do really think a lot of people are actually sleeping on this particular weapon. And I think once you try these curved swords for yourself, you are really going to be struggling to use anything else in that same weapon category. So if you like jump attacking or run attacking while doing over 10,000 damage at a time, then you're probably going to enjoy this build. So what makes this build so enjoyable to use? You have some insane damage. I cannot stress this enough. This is some of the best damage I've seen while using a weapon slash build in the DLC. With all the buffs and items that we are taking with this setup, we have close to 100% extra damage with our curved sword. I managed to just delete one of those super annoying crows in the snow area with literally one friggin' jump.
Know your fucking place, trash.
You have some really good mobility with this build. The jump attacks come out pretty quick, the dash attack feels really smooth, and also the dodge attacks also come out fairly quickly as well, which means you're going to have less downtime in between dodging and attacking the boss, which is obviously a massive win-win. This build doesn't have the best diversity, unfortunately, because we cannot ash our weapon that we are using. It is a somber weapon, but given that we are using the curved sword category, there is loads of other options to fit any playstyle if this setup just doesn't float your boat. And I gotta say, the biggest negative to this build is the fact that it has no negatives. It's just that good. You almost feel like you need to take a shower after using a curved sword build in Elden Ring because they're just that filthy. It is kind of disgusting how many hits you do get with one jump attack and one dash attack, and oh boy did we take advantage of that. So let's move on over to what we're actually taking with this setup. So let's talk about the weapon first, and the curved sword that I'm going to be talking about, the curved sword that is the main secret ingredient in this build, the Chemical X, is the Horned Warrior's Sword. These curved swords have some of the best AR, the best damage of any curved sword in its category, sitting at about 523 AR. And the only curved sword that even comes close to this is the Bandit's curved sword, which has about 489 AR, which makes the Horned Warrior's Sword an absolute powerhouse when it comes to raw damage. To wield this weapon, you do need 11 strength, 14 dex, and also 14 faith. And when the Horned Warrior's Sword is maxed out at plus 10, the scaling for this weapon is D for strength, C for dexterity, and D for faith, meaning this weapon does scale a little bit better when you do put points in dex. Now for the moveset of the Horned Warrior's Sword, you can't actually two-hander it because when you do, two-hand your weapon with this weapon, you actually power stance the weapon. It's a 2-in-1 combo, a nice 2-in-1 chicken piece combo. Don't we love that? So a bit unfortunate that we can't get the bonuses that you do get when you do two-hand a weapon, but that does not matter because the curved swords definitely shine better when you power stance them, especially with that jump and the dash attack being able to hit 4 times. So we'll be showing you the one-handed move. So for the light attack, you do just do a bunch of slashes in front of you, and that's pretty much it. It sort of doesn't change at all. It's just a whole bunch of slashes in front. They're pretty quick, to be fair. They are very, very quick slashes with the curved sword, but you know, they're nothing special. Now for the heavy attack with the Horned Warrior's Sword, you do a bit of a slash in front of you, and then you actually finish off with a nice little 360 slash, which is pretty cool. It's very finessey. I'm sure this is going to help AoEing any enemies around you. For the jump attack, you just do a jump and a slash in front of you, and for the jump heavy attack, same thing again, but now you got a downward slash instead of just a frontal slash. So probably good for hitting enemies in the head, but otherwise nothing too special. For the running light attack, we do just have a slash in front of us. It's pretty standard. And then for the running heavy, you just do a 360 slash, which is, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool move. Again, not the way we're going to be using the weapon, but it is nice that just single-handling the weapon still has a pretty decent moveset. But the main way this weapon shines, and for all curved swords for that matter, is when you power stance them. The power stancing move on the curved sword is disgusting. And all you need to know is, like, yes, you're going to be using either the right bumper with this weapon, or if you choose to use another curved sword, you're going to be using left bumper. That is all you're going to be pressing with when you power stance with curved sword. And the main way to take advantage of when you are power stancing with curved sword is the jump attack for one, which does let you do 4 hits on the enemy, which is very strong. And this comes out very quickly, which gives you a lot of room, a lot of wiggle room in between bosses, combos and everything, enemy combos. It is very, very strong move. And then the other way to take advantage of power stance in curved sword is the run attack or the dash attack, which gives you the 4 hits as well. Let's see if I can try and spin around so you can see this. But yeah, you do get the slash, you do get the 4 hits very quickly with the dash attack as well, similar to the jump attack. Now let's move on over to the Ash of War. Now unfortunately this weapon cannot be Ash. You kind of get stuck with the Ash of War that's already on here. But to be fair, this Ash of War isn't really too bad. It is the Horn Calling. Now the Horn Calling, it says it invokes tangled horns to cover this weapon's blade, drive the weapon into the ground, calling up a cluster of piercing horns. Lock onto an enemy, you just use the Ash of War and it just shoots massive horns, holy horns mind you, up into the enemy, which it does do pretty decent damage. Not the best Ash of War in terms of damage, but this does have pretty good range. Like if there's enemies up on like a ledge above you and you don't have any range or you're not using spells, this is a pretty good way to take care of those enemies. Like if there was an enemy on top of this rock right now, I'd be able to lock onto him and I would be able to use the Horn Calling where he's standing. So it does have its purpose. It's not just a complete dog shit Ash of War. It does come with its niche. But the biggest negative is this motherfucker eats at your stam. It's not going to show it because I'm not in combat, but this eats more than half your stam bar. And I've got, I'm sitting at about 35 endurance and it just chews through your stam bar. If you use two Horn Callings, your stamina's gone. It is gone, which is just gonna leave you open to a lot of bullshit. So it's definitely not an Ash of War that you can spam, but like I said, it does actually come with its uses. It does have pretty decent range and pretty decent damage, so it can actually be used. It's not just sitting on there collecting dust. Now to go over the armor and the talismans as well as the rest of our setup. So for our helmet, we have the Mushroom Crown. This is going to give us a nice 10% increase when poison is in the vicinity, and you're probably scratching your head wondering why the hell I have this on. We're not using poison, you can't ash your weapon, you can't grease it. I'll get into that in just a moment. It does revolve around the Deadly Poison Perfume Bottle. I have the Gravebird's Black Quill armor on. This is also going to give us attack power when we are using jump attacks. For our gauntlets, we have the Raxasar Gauntlets. Is going to increase our damage by 2%. And then we have the Greaves of Solitude, which is just a really good pair of legs to put on if you want a lot of poise with it not weighing too much. For our talismans, we got Millicent's Prosthesis, Kindred of Rot Exaltation, the Claw Talisman, and also Rotten Winged Sword Insignia. So Claw Talisman is going to enhance our jump attack. This does stack with the Black Quill's armor. The Rotten Winged Sword Insignia, because when our jump attacks do 4 hits, when our dash attacks do 4 hits, this is going to nearly get that full bonus straight away. The Millicent Prosthesis does the same thing as the Rotten Sword Insignia. When we get hits, it's going to increase our attack power. There is a new talisman that you can actually try out, and that is the Lacerating Cross Tree. This enhances dash attacks by 15%. If you want more damage overall, Millicent's Prosthesis I think is more than the way to go. But if you do want to test out dash attacks and you do want an extra 15% straight away when you are doing those run attacks, try the Lacerating Cross Tree. It's actually pretty strong. In fact, you could replace the Claw Talisman with the Lacerating Cross Tree. Then you could also replace your chest piece with the Lader's Armor, which does strengthen dodge, roll, backstep, and dash attacks, which are run attacks. So that's another alternative way you can set this up. Now, the Kindred of Rot Exaltation is here for one very, very important reason. I did have a video on this literally a couple of days ago. I'll pop it up on screen. I'll also put it in the description below. Because of a new item that got added into the DLC, we're able to take advantage of the Kindred of Rot Exaltation and also the Mushroom Crown. And that is the Deadly Poison Perfume Bottle. So the Deadly Poison Perfume Bottle has its Ash of War is Deadly Poison Spray. You basically spray it on yourself and you inflict yourself with poison. This poison does not last very long at all, and you know, when you inflict yourself with poison, this does give you the attack damage bonus from the Kindred of Rot, the Mushroom Crown, and then another item that also got added into the DLC, the Poisoned Hand. Now, the Poisoned Hand does also increase your attack power when poison occurs in the vicinity. This doesn't matter if it's on the enemy or yourself, you're going to get that attack bonus. So with the Kindred of Rot, the Mushroom Crown, and the Poison Hand, you're going to get an extra 37.5% increased damage. Just our jump attacks alone are nearly hitting for 70% extra damage. And when you're using the curve swords that hit as much as they do, it starts getting ridiculous. So that is why we're using the Kindred of Rot, the Mushroom Crown. It's because we're taking Deadly, Poison Perfume Bottle, and also Poison Hand to give us more attack bonus. If you want a more in-depth explanation and how this all works and showing how this all works, go check out my other video. It's going to have way more information in there. For the buffs we are running with this setup, of course we're using Golden Vow, and we're also using Flame Grant Me Strength. And you can, as always, use Howler Brew if you don't mind taking more damage, but Flame Grant Me Strength, Golden Vow are definitely going to be the way to go. And then also don't forget to spray some poison on you as well, because this is going to give you the fattest damage increase that we have available to us. Now for our Physick, I am taking the Thorny Crack tier and also the Crimson Sapping Crack tier. Now we got the Thorny Crack tier because it's going to make our attacks stronger when we keep hitting the enemy, and then the Crimson Sapping Crack tier is going to give our attacks lifesteal, since we can attack so quick with the curved sword and that jump attack and the dash attack do 4 hits. This is pretty good for helping us just, you know, stay in the fight for a little bit longer. You could use the Blood Sucking Crack tier if you want to really squeeze as much damage out as possible, but just remember that your health drains over time, and that can be annoying when you get hit and you need to try and run away and heal, and this sucker just takes you out instead. Now moving on over to the stats that I would recommend if you are going to try out this build. So for the level 150 setup, you got 55 Vigor, 15 Mind, 30 Endurance, 20 Strength, 50 Dex, and also 40 Faith. Now for the level 200 setup, I would recommend 60 Vigor, 20 Mind, 35 Endurance, 30 Strength, 60 Dexterity, and also 55 Faith. As you go higher than 200, I just keep dumping your points into Strength, get that up to 60, and that way the weapon will have the best damage it possibly can, since its Strength scaling and its Faith scaling are pretty good at D, and then obviously the weapon does scale the best off Dexterity because it's C scaling. And that is basically it for the video, guys. Hopefully this build video did help you guys out. I didn't mention in the video, but I'm not sure if this weapon is performing how it's supposed to. There's really some weird shenanigans happening where you're not doing damage and then all of a sudden, kaboom, it just hits for like 10-12k, and I'm not sure if the weapon's actually working the way it's supposed to, if it's scaling properly. It is one of the strongest curve swords, so maybe that is playing a part, but there's just some instances where like some ridiculous damage happens, and I've always been scratching my head trying to work out how the F that actually happened. So yeah, I'm not sure if they're broken, I'm not sure if they're working the way they are intended to, but the Horn Warriors curved swords are no friggin' joke, man. Appreciate all the love and support as always, guys, and until next time, stay safe, peace out.